How am I a part of this? What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today we are talking some superhero movie news. The first test screening of Matt Reeves' The Batman has happened in the United States, and today we are going to be talking about these first initial reactions that have got me really jonesing for this film. Now, I just want to give a massive thank you to the Instagram page let's_talk_DC for their sources and their information on these first initial reactions from the test screening. So as far as I know, the test screening was 3 hours long, and we're just going to be talking about some of the quotes and talking points about the reactions in certain parts of the film. So from what we know, it got fantastic and incredible reviews upon its first screening, again, which was 3 hours long. People have been describing it as one of the best comic book films in a long time, which is a big stretch, but that has got me very high. Now, apparently this version of Batman is very different from others that we have seen on screen. Again, that's what I love. I love a fresh take on characters, especially when it comes to The Dark Knight. And that's what I was hoping for when Robert Pattinson was initially cast as Batman. The Batman movie is a horror movie. Very graphic, very dark, very scary. Paul Dano is fucking crazy. So fucking scary. I loved every second. So if you guys remember in Batman v Superman, the first time we see Batfleck, well, when we're introduced to Batfleck and he's hiding in that corner and the cop shines a light on him, and the way it was filmed, it was like a horror movie. Batman's out of focus and he looks like a demon or a gargoyle that's just posted in the corner of that room just watching the cop. That scared the shit out of me, and that's what I loved. I love that horror movie element when it comes to Batman. When I saw the first trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman, I got that vibe. It was dark, gothic, and it was something that we haven't seen in a long time. Don't get me wrong, Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, absolutely phenomenal, but I never got that dark, gothic, horror element vibe from it, if that makes sense. Whereas with that small snippet we saw of Batfleck when he's introduced in BVS, I got the horror vibes, and from seeing the first initial trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman, I got horror movie vibes. So this has got me very excited. Now, moving on to Paul Dano as the Riddler, I knew this guy was going to crush it, and I know he's going to crush it. He's a phenomenally brilliant actor, takes his craft very seriously, and I know that he's just going to get into the mindset of the Riddler. I think it'll be one of those things where he's going to have that very calm presence about him, but you just know he could snap at any minute, and to me, that is a damn good villain. Someone who keeps their cool, but you know if the chips were down, they'd fuck you up. Even though we've heard Pattinson say 2 words in the bat suit, well, technically, how am I a part of this? But when he takes down that thug and he says, "I'm vengeance," I really dug the voice. Again, it was only 2 words, but they sounded really good. It didn't sound cheesy, and I'm sorry to say, by the end of it, Bale's voice was quite cheesy by Dark Knight Rises. In Batman Begins, it was that perfect balance of trying to hide your voice, but by the end of Dark Knight Rises, it was a bit silly and a little bit all over the place.
Where's the trigger? Never give it to an ordinary citizen.
Whereas with Pattinson's, it sounds like he's trying to hide it, but also not sound silly. And so someone said their thoughts on Pattinson's Batman voice. His voice was perfect in my opinion. I think it's going to be, again, treading that fine line of not being silly, but also trying to be intimidating. Now, their thoughts on Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I have a million things to say about Catwoman. She's my favorite. Holy shit, definitely my favorite Catwoman. Now, at the moment, Michelle Pfeiffer will always be my favorite Catwoman. I thoroughly enjoyed Anne Hathaway, but I think she was just a bit too serious, but I loved how fun and carefree Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was. She was just having the time of her life whilst fucking Gotham up. Now, from what we've seen for the first initial trailer of The Batman, Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman is also a jewel thief. We see her throwing down with Batman at some point, and some talking points from the initial reactions of the test screening saying they love the fight scenes between Batman and Catwoman. Their thoughts on Robert Pattinson's Batmobile, holy fucking shit, that fucking sleigh. I'm loving the swearing in it, man. It's just so passionate. It's how I would react to something like this if I saw a test screening of a film like this. I love the muscle car approach to this. It's very crude, put together, but in a badass, beastly, elegant kind of a way. Like, he's gone to the garage of Wayne Manor, maybe a car that his dad had or he and his dad had, and he's just done it up, thrown this V12 engine in there that just screams like a bat out of hell. Now, here's an interesting one. I just asked if the Batman sets up for a sequel. Here's what they said. Yes, definitely sequel. That's the oh shit moment. I genuinely felt like they're gonna start a whole collection of Robert Pattinson Batman movies and circle through different villains maybe. And this is great, this is what I want. At first I thought this was just gonna be a standalone film, but from what I've seen, and I just really hope this film does well. I really want it to do well. Given the problems it's had filming during the pandemic, and then also just certain reports we've heard here and there about Robert Pattinson as Batman, I just really want this film to succeed. I want the cast and crew to be proud of what they've done, and I want to see more of stuff like this. Again, I love that gothic horror element with Batman, and I want to see more of that. I want to be frightened by him on the same level as being frightened by Freddy Krueger. Now, the closing opinion on this, and again, that's why I put spoiler alert at the beginning of this video, there's a scene at the end that literally had everyone screaming. Everyone was gasped, like it was a big no way for everyone. And even I clenched onto a knee and was shook. It's the biggest mix drop. Again, they're just really setting the bar high for our expectations of this film, but that's what I want. I want the horror elements, I want the gothic elements, and I want shock value. Put it this way, the end of Dark Knight Rises, that 20-minute sequence right at the end where Batman's trying to get rid of the bomb, I had anxiety belly. I had anxiety belly when Tom Hardy was on screen as Bane, and I want that again. I haven't had that ever since with other Batman films, and I want that feeling again. Okay, so the last couple of talking points are very interesting, and I dig them a lot. So, first and foremost, Batman will not kill. No, he is against killing. There's a scene where they make that very clear. I think that's gonna shut a lot of people up. Fine, I've never really had a problem with the whole killing thing, because you gotta think about it. Keaton definitely did it. Kilmer kind of did it. Clooney kind of did it. Affleck did it. And as Zack Snyder said, Affleck did it by proxy. But you've got to understand, he's been Batman for 20 years, so he's a jaded Batman. I've never had a big problem with it. Obviously, he has done it in the comics at some point, but there are people that are very strong with that rule. They're very, you know, he cannot kill. But obviously, they're going to touch on that and make that very clear in this film. So Rob's Batman narrates the whole movie. I'm very intrigued and on board with that idea. That's something that's never been done before in a Batman film, even though at the beginning of BVS we hear Affleck narrate during his parents' funeral, which I dug a lot. Fight scenes were great, lots of them. There's blood, teetering between thriller and horror. That's all I need to hear. So guys, overall, these initial reactions have just left me so excited for this film. March 2022 cannot come fast enough. I'm just really want this film to succeed, like I said. I love the fact that they're throwing words around like gothic, horror, violent, gory. That's the perfect mixture of elements for a Batman film. Now, recently in the States, there was CinemaCon where Warner Brothers featured a lot of footage from upcoming films like The Matrix Resurrections. That is the now final title for it, which I'm very excited for. And they also showed stuff from the Batman, which included behind the scenes stuff of Robert Pattinson talking about the character. And he mentioned that Batman's trying to work out his anger, and these fights are quite personal and very anger driven. Much like that fight scene, even though you couldn't really call it a fight scene, it was a fucking beatdown scene from the first trailer with Pattinson and that thug. It was brutal, and that's what I want with the rest of the film in terms of the fight scenes with Batman. I just want that rage oozing through that suit. I want the gothic emo Batman, dude. So guys, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on the upcoming Matt Reeves as the Batman. What are your expectations? What are your thoughts? What do you think is gonna happen in this film, and what it's going to set up in terms of the Matt Reeves Batman universe? Now, I have my McFarlane Toys Bloodsport figure from the Suicide Squad that I'm gonna start work on this week for the next upcoming custom collectible Geeks and Geekettes. He is a beautiful looking figure. I've got the method down pat of how I'm going to be painting him and weathering him and all that. So this is going to be a fun little video, much like the Deathstroke video. And thank you for your amazing feedback and support on that one, guys. It's good to be back doing custom collectibles. I've still got Darkseid on the way. That is going to be a big video. Very excited. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you will. Hope you're happy. Be merry, be silly. And until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.